Hello everyone, and thank you very much for your attention, for participating in this stream. Today is 12th of January, now it's about 6 o'clock, and this is traditional Sunday live stream, community chat. Once again, many thanks to you all and all the members of our community who will join later on or will watch this live stream in a recording. And for new members, for potential new members of our community who might, watching this stream first time, I will say that this is basically a community chat. First of all, where we are exchanging opinions in real time on any topic, really. And if I see any questions, I'm trying to give as informative answer as I can, not necessarily about some news stuff or politics or anything like that. Any topic, we are discussing just about everything. This is our club chat, if I may say this way. So that's been said, let's start this stream. And as always, I have prepared news. Excuse me. For this live stream. I will go through some news that I published on the Telegram, although I have, as you can see, dear friends, quite a number of news selected already. And if we will have time, I will go through those reports in Russian media. And well, let me organize this stuff. That's it. And so first of all, I checked just a couple of minutes ago on Patreon. There was no questions from Patreon community, and for members that are on Patreon also, I will ask, if I may, that to make sure that I did not miss any question, if you can please send a question through private messaging. And that way I will 100% see it, just to stay on safe side. And yes, there was no questions on Boosty. And dear friends, I removed a link from donation alerts because during the last several streams, there was no donation there, no question, no nothing. And I'm not even sure that donation alert works. So therefore, if I see questions during the week, even, by the way, not necessarily during the live stream, but during the week, if I receive any questions through PayPal or Boosty, I will try to give you answer during the community chat. And because there is no questions today, I will, as always, I will go through chat, and whenever I see a question, I will react on it. So, okay. That's being said, I can see our craft is commenting. Now that you are Moscowite, have you considered growing a goatee? Just to stick it to the banderites? To upset banderites, I'm working as hard as I can, and I guess whoever from those Ukrainian Nazis have any knowledge about my channel, I guess they are not really happy about it. So I'm doing what I can in that regard. And when it comes to Moscow, dear friends, well, I live in Moscow, but I'm not Moscowite, and I doubt that I will ever become a real Moscowite. I was raised in Tbilisi, capital of Georgia. And therefore, I will always consider myself to be from Tbilisi. And it is a universal approach, I guess, all around the world, isn't it? Where you have grown up, in which town, you consider most likely yourself to be from that town, because you are carrying with you some elements of local culture that is characteristic for that particular area or that particular town, community, isn't it? So therefore, I'm from Tbilisi, not Moscowite, even though I live here, at least for now. Also, dear friends, once again, hello everyone. And Magda, moderator, is also here. And to make sure that I would not miss any question, if you can, please write question mark before question, or write entire question in a capital later, and that will make it easier a little bit. And because I see no question right now, let's go through some news. Is soldiers of the 10th Tank Regiment of the 20th Division of the Russian Federation, Russian Armed Forces, raised the Russian flag over their Yantarne settlement in Kurachovo direction, and you are seeing right now on your screen this episode. And dear friends, Defense Ministry later on confirmed information about liberation of Yantarne. Rare occasions when Defense Ministry is not delaying confirmation of Russian progress. Usually it takes couple of days, isn't it? At least before Defense Ministry is confirming information on the progress of Russian forces. Then I share this video on Telegram about destruction of yet another MBT, main battle tank of Kiev regime. It looks like T-72, and I guess it is the T-72 Soviet era tank, and drone strike was quite effective, and well, munition of the tank caught fire, and you can see on your screen results of that. Dear friends, right now we have sort of breaking news, which is that future advisor in national security for Trump, Mike Waltz, stated that work is being done to organize meeting between Trump and the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. I don't know if we can take this information on face value. Probably we will learn some more for tomorrow morning, and I will share additional information on during the first update. But well, it was just a couple of days ago, isn't it, that press spokesman of the Russian president said that even though Putin is ready to have meaningful talks with Trump, at this point there is no works to organize such a meeting. So I don't know what Mike Waltz is talking about. Maybe something has changed in just a previous like day or two. It is a possibility, but I don't know. John Dickinson is here. Hello, John. Ruth Greening is here. Hello, Ruth. Hello, everyone, dear friends. Bencher Dent is here. Hello, Daniela. Modos is here. Daniela, hello, and greetings to you all, dear friends. Walter is here from Finland, and Merlin is here. And more members of our community will join later on, hopefully, or will watch this video in recording whenever they have time. Then I reported about this news that Swiss People's Party, largest, and you know about it. I reported this morning that Swiss People's Party is demanding resignation of defense minister because they think defense minister harmed neutral status of Switzerland, and also quite effectively demilitarized country with the woke policies that she is focused on. And I guess it is a she, Viola Amherd. I guess Viola sees herself as a she, although when it comes to Western so-called elites or political class public figures, at least ones that are ultra liberals or neolibs or whatever, I mean, with them you never know, are they he, she, or wardrobe or what, really, which is crazy, but that's what is happening. And from Just Dude, is there coup d'etat in Georgia really finished her, have their NGOs being thrown out of their country finally. Who organized this? Well, unfortunately, attempts to destabilize Georgia and conduct regime change has not stopped completely. A former president of Georgia, Salome Zurabishvili, who is, by the way, become a fellow in McCain's Institute or something, US, I guess, CIA affiliated think tank. Well, she is claiming to be a legit president of Georgia. Situation that we see in Belarus in regards to that female, I cannot remember her name, no one remembers, I guess, one that US and Western elites basically declared the legit leader of Belarus, and a similar situation did happen in Venezuela, isn't it? When some dude was declared the president of Venezuela by very same West. In Georgia, a somewhat similar situation is taking place. Salome Zurabishvili is claiming that because she is not recognizing legitimacy of the parliament, parliamentary elections that took place on 26th of October last year, and she's not recognizing presidential elections, therefore she is declaring herself to be legit president. Some nonsense, by the way. She clearly needs some medication to, to come to the senses, but she has a backing from the West, isn't it? She has a backing from the West, the Western ruling class, the Western secret services. I'm quite sure Salome Zurabishvili has affiliations with CIA and French secret services for decades. She was working in French Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Then, from that institution, she was sent to US to work there. And I just don't believe that she has no connection with the Western secret services, by the way, French and US ones, right? So I can have informed guess that she's an asset of those. And she continues to play this dirty game against Georgia, against Georgian people. But in general, public, with its unity, clearly demonstrated that they don't want to see the. And from what I can tell, society appreciates peace that they are living in, even though current ruling party Georgian Dream can be criticized for many things. Main achievement that they have is that they bring true peace and stability to the country that was experiencing some, civil wars and internal conflicts almost every decade, right? Before current party overtook their power there. Previous regime of Saakashvili, even managed to provoke military conflict with Russia in 2008. So therefore, people want to live in peace, instability, and therefore these Western puppets, Western financed and controlled NGOs, Western assets in political class, media, and so on, they failed. They failed. And will continue to fail, hopefully. But unfortunately, they still are trying to destabilize country. That's for sure. Demonstrations are taking place every other day of this Western-controlled so-called opposition and the NGOs. Bencher Dent is asking, is Putin going to meet Trump in a NATO country? Russian president recently said that he might consider, or it is a possibility that, for example, Slovakia can host a meeting between process of negotiations, by the way, on topic of Ukraine, right? He did not say there anything about his meeting with Trump, a potential meeting, but if Russian leadership sees possible to hold negotiations on topic of Ukraine in Slovakia, which is NATO member state, I guess, yes, it is a theoretical answer. I can see there are some technical issues. Hopefully hopefully there will be not too much issues with the buffering. You know, as you know, before, because I'm streaming with a VPN time to time, there is some cut in connection. But anyways, yes, answer is yes. It clearly can be done. Slovakia and Hungary can be considered. There are places where such a meeting might take place between Russian and their US future president, Donald Trump. Although, of course, ideally, some completely neutral state would be the better place to meet. And therefore, if such a meeting will take place, about which I have some doubts, really, then it might be United Arab Emirates, for example, even Saudi Arabia, right? And I would prefer, for example, this meeting, if it will take place, to happen in India, because that will definitely increase influence of India on the world stage, which is great, by the way. I said many times, whatever is good for India is good for global South, good for the world, and good for Russia. So there we go. Yes, Daniela also reacted on your question, Bench, and she's saying that you know, she don't think meeting in a NATO country is a good idea because of the ICC warrant, and this is a good point, isn't it? Slovakia and Hungary might struggle with their, you know, outside pressure, additional outside pressure, if they will agree on to host such a meeting. They are already under huge pressure, isn't it? So do they really need some additional obstacles to overtake? I don't know. I don't think. Kosovo, from terrorist regime that is established in Kosovo by NATO and Albania, right? And they are acting extremely hostile towards Serb population in Kosovo. They are trying to, I mean, there are constant provocations, you know, and the Serbian armed forces have to be on high alert almost constantly. And after all, dear friends, one should keep in mind that for Western ruling class, they see, as far as I understand, they see partnership when partners are 100% obeying orders. And the current leadership of Serbia, which is definitely not anti-Western, right? They are product of the color revolution, nothing like that. They cannot cooperate with NATO because of history, right? They know perfectly well what NATO did to Serbia, to Yugoslavia, right? And despite that, even current leadership of Serbia is constantly in talks with Brussels, for example, right? It will become day when EU really opened the door for Serbia, for Belgrade. But current leadership, which is cooperating with the West on, let's say, 90% of matters, refuses to cooperate on 5-10% of the issues, let's say. One being sanctions on Russia. Serbia is not joining anti-Russian policies of the West. And the main one, of course, Kosovo, right? Because Serbian leadership is not you know, acting on the Western, let's say, recommendations 100%, or on recommendations of the Western ruling class, it is quite possible that there will be attempt to destabilize Serbia big time and to conduct another color revolution, to put in power people that will obey whatever orders they will receive 100% of the time. So yes, Serbia is under constant pressure and in very difficult situation. Geographically, I mean, Serbia don't really have much options, isn't it? Serbia is encircled by NATO and by EU, and it is, I guess, very difficult for Serbia to operate in such hostile environment, right? But if they become a EU member state, that will make life much easier. Although I mean, question is for what cost? And as far as I understand, Serbian people are not willing to compromise on territorial integrity. After all, Kosovo is a historical part of Serbia, by the way. It's as far as I understand, it's a heartland, right, of Serbia, where from where Christianity, Orthodoxy, it's a heartland, not just culturally but religiously. From religious standpoint, also there are very many holy places there, isn't it? And Serbian people, as far as I understand, are not willing to compromise. They are facing challenges, and they will continue to face challenges, but will not compromise on this historical part of Serbia that Kosovo is, right? So yes, they will try to either force Vucic and his government to, act on 100% at the time on recommendations that they will receive from the West, or it is possibility that some regime change may take place. And unfortunately, NATO always has a tool to increase pressure, which is Kosovo. Questions. Nidish Kumar is commenting, Levan, I read about US taste that sent chills down my spine. I'm not quite sure I understand, Nidish. You should keep in mind that my English is, English is not my native language, isn't it? As you all know, and sometimes, I may struggle with some quite simple stuff to understand what sentence means. And so I did not see questions right now. So let's go through some news. Dubai will be perfect location for peace negotiations. Nidish Kumar is commenting. Yes, I mean, United Arab Emirates definitely can host such a meeting between Trump and Putin, especially if you take in account that United Arab Emirates already are playing quite significant role when it comes to certain negotiations between Moscow and Kiev. For example, exchange of POWs. I believe quite often United Arab Emirates were involved in that. Host of such negotiations, why not? Oh, Levan, Nidish Kumar is commenting that he was talking about Croatian nationalists in World War II. Yes, Croatia was fighting on part of on side, not just during the Second World War, by the way, but let's be real, during their during disintegration of Yugoslavia, Western ruling class was focused on Serbia, right? And obviously, during their high-intensity military conflict, especially when it is a civil war, some horrific crimes are taking place. Question is it systemic or not, right? Some military may go rogue, or even some unit may go wrong and do some crazy, absolutely crazy stuff, but that not necessarily means that it was government's policy, right? But Western ruling class wanted to punish Serbian people, and that's what they did, right? While from what I know, dear friends, Croatians during those times were committing some unbelievable atrocities. And what Croatians did to Serbian people in northern Croatia, where hundreds of thousands of Serbs were, forced to flee to save their lives, literally, because these Croatian nationalists were killing Serbians or civilians with no mercy, absolutely. And in Bosnia, by the way, I mean, if you ask Bosniaks, they will say that Croatians were committing some atrocities that, you know, it was a civil war, and all sides, were acting on the edge, I guess, but Western ruling class wanted to punish Serbia, and they focused on some incidents that took place, and mostly ignore crimes that was committed by Croatians, for example, or Bosniaks, by the way. So yes, Croatia has quite difficult history, by the way, not just in regards to Second World War, when they were allies of Nazi Germany, but during this NATO assault on Yugoslavia also. And if you ask me, dear friends, I see Bosniaks, Serbians, Chernogorians, and Croats to be one people. Difference is, Bosniaks are Muslims and Croatians are Catholics, right? That's it. There might be some minor differences in dialect, but, Yes, Michael Kennedy is also commenting that Croatia was on German side, and they were barbaric to Serbia. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And dear friends, Tito, who then lead Yugoslavia, he was a Croat. Although he was leading some partisan movement, as far as I understand. He was on the other side, right? He was fighting against Nazis, but he was ethnic Croat, at least half. And half. Froch Flanagan, hello, is commenting, Levan, do you believe President Putin would actually travel to Switzerland? It seems a terrible idea. No way. Impossible, by the way. I believe for tomorrow, probably Russian press spokesman of the Russian president, Dmitry Peskov, will be asked about these statements from Switzerland that they are ready to host meeting between Trump and Putin. But I'm quite sure Russian president will not even consider Switzerland as a potential place where negotiations can take place. Switzerland is no longer neutral state, by the way. And the Russian side was very consistent on this topic, that Moscow no longer sees Switzerland as a neutral. So therefore, not see Switzerland as a neutral, but Russia actually sees Switzerland as a hostile state, because Switzerland is completely, fully in on everything anti-Russian that Western ruling class is doing, right? Sanctions and the rest of it. So therefore, impossible. I mean, there is no way Putin will go to Switzerland. I don't think so. And by the way, after all, it's not even necessary for Putin to go anywhere. Trump may come to Russia, right? Trump may come to Russia. I mean, why not? He can visit Russia, At least officially, US is not at war with Russia, right? US is engaged in this proxy war and plays massive role. That's obvious, but officially we are not at war. So Trump may visit Russia. No big deal there. So, and maybe that will happen. Who knows? Maybe he will just visit Russia, Nidish is commenting, Levan, once blood is bitter like that, it takes centuries to fix it, and helpful for others to play them against each other. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. When there is a bad blood between countries or peoples, some dark pages of history, unfortunately, certain groups of forces can manipulate on that And that's exactly what happens quite often, right? Western ruling class is become really, really good, unfortunately, in dividing, in manipulation, in dividing peoples, and using this divide to get leverage over them, right? That's what they do, by the way, for the last 3 to 5 centuries. So of course they become good at it. Western so-called elites or ruling class, that is basically several families, right? Several families that has generational wealth and the influence that goes from generation to generation, you know. So I agree with you absolutely, you know. Hang Miu is asking, U.S. weapons and military helping kill Russians. Why would Russia allow Trump to visit? To end the conflict, by the way. If certain groups among Western ruling class that are behind the Trump, and we all understand that Trump is not alone, isn't it? There are very powerful groups that are backing him. That's why he's becoming US president second time, right? And these groups have their own agendas, right? And if they are serious about de-escalating with Russia, if they are realizing that this path is a way to nowhere, then for sake of peace, for sake of de-escalation, I think it is necessary to hold talks, hold negotiations, and where those negotiations take place, that's a secondary issue, really. But talks definitely have to happen, by the way. Otherwise, this constant down spiral of escalation eventually will put sides on the edge of a full-scale conflict, and none of us wants this to happen, because that would be end of everything. That would be end of human civilization, isn't it? So we don't need that. So is the drone carriers the future of naval warfare? Yes, I guess. Drone carriers and also drones in general. Maritime drones, you will see that maritime drones that Kyiv regime is receiving mainly from UK and even assembling on Kyiv controlled territory with active participation of British militaries. Those maritime drones did cause quite a damage, isn't it? And that's maritime drones that are like small boats. Can you imagine what kind of damage can be done with maritime drones that are submersible, fully submersible, and can operate independently for months and months on end in open sea? So yes, drone technologies definitely changing calculus of all militaries worldwide, I guess. It's, you know, it is what it is, though. And you know what is danger? Probably you also think about that. One day AI may be introduced in a big way. AI is already being used in the drones, right? But one day some more sophisticated AI systems can be implemented into drone technologies, and they increase unimaginably, isn't it? That's also danger, and unfortunately it seems like no one really pays much attention to this topic, at least on a high level, where decisions are made. And you know, and even pioneers of AI, by the way, even they are saying that I reported a couple of days ago, isn't it, that one of the pioneers of AI development was saying that risk that AI will, you know, one day become uncontrollable, absolutely uncontrollable, and will cause significant damage to humanity, risk is about 20%, which is huge, isn't it? I mean, this is risk that you cannot ignore. But seems like at this point, all those decision makers, whoever they are, you know, they think about some other stuff, but not this. Venture Dent is asking, how do you think their future holds for Trudeau? Will he be as a PM or as their governor of their 51st state of the US? No, he's not going to be no governor, no prime minister. He's done. We have quite many members of our community are from Canada, and quite often they are commenting in the comment sections, and you see their attitude, isn't it, towards Trudeau? They're not necessarily are conservatives, by the way, right? But they are not okay with, at least not all of them, they are not okay with Trudeau and his government, because it was disaster, right? Especially during the pandemic, when human rights was forgotten. Basic human rights in Canada was forgotten almost completely, right? And I mean, this is not okay. He's finished. And once current ruling party in Canada will choose a new leader, I guess that's it. Trudeau will have no option but to resign. And Western ruling class, and he will have something to do. But as a politician in Canada, he is finished. In my personal opinion, although of course it is better citizens of Canada to, say what they think about it. But Trudeau is finished, man. He's total disaster, by the way. Look at the policies that he had, for example, in regards to India. He almost completely destroyed relationships between Canada and India. How crazy is that? I mean, it's insanity, right? And dear friends, even if just to have a thought experiment, even if India's security services considered certain individuals threat to India's national security, India's people, and if they made decision to take out that threat, is that a reason to destroy relationships with India? I don't think so. Operating like that, if security services sees certain groups of people or certain individuals are immediate threat to stability of the country, usually CIA is killing people left and right like it's absolutely nothing, right? That's a bad comparison. CIA and Mossad, okay, they are bad comparison because they kill people, God knows for what. Sometimes they might have reason, but other times they just kill people, and that's why they have quite a horrendous reputation, right? But other secret services that are more conservative, let's say, in deploying strong force, or other secret services are operating also in certain ways, right? If it's absolutely necessary, for in their calculus, right, to maintain stability and security of the country and the people. And when it comes to stability of country and internal security of the people, we are talking about millions and millions of people, right? Tens of millions of people. So it is the difficult decision to be made, but sometimes you just have to do it. But is it a reason to destroy relationships between the countries? I don't think so. I don't think so. Who can tell me that Canada's secret services are operating in any other way? They don't. They operate in a very same way that every other secret service in this world. That's what they do. these Bond movies, by the way, it's a fiction, obviously, but that fiction comes from somewhere, isn't it? That viewpoint of the Secret Services, what they do and how they deal with the threats. But Trudeau is finished, by the way. He's But when it comes to other part of your question, Canada-US relationships, of course, Canada not going to become US, a part of US, not anytime soon. But what I think will happen is that Washington will force Ottawa to sign up for some additional agreements between the two, which will allow US to operate on Canada's offshore and on the coastal line of Canada, basically, and do whatever they want. And Ottawa will agree on that, because what else they can do, really? Like Denmark is basically agreed to lose Greenland, right? And Greenland's prime minister was in Reykjavik, right? And it is Reykjavik, isn't it? Capital of Denmark. Let me check, dear friends. Copenhagen, by the way, not Reykjavik, sorry. It is good that I checked, man, because you cannot remember all the capitals, man, of all the countries, constantly. So he was in Copenhagen, right? And he made statements about independent Greenland. And the Danish prime minister, I believe, was standing next to him, or some high-ranking official from Denmark. So I guess Copenhagen is agree to lose Greenland, and Greenland will become independent first, and then maybe Greenland will join US, or maybe it will sign up some agreements with US that will give Washington every right to do whatever they want on that island and around that island. And when it comes to this topic, I said quite a few times before, main reason why forces that are behind the Trump are interested in Canada and Greenland is Northern Sea route, right? As the global warming goes on, this Northern Sea route will become more and more interesting, right? And most safe naval maritime route for goods to go in and out of different parts of the world, right? It's the shortest route also. And besides that, of course, resources. So there's two main reasons, as far as I understand. One is maritime routes, northern maritime routes, and second is mineral riches that Greenland has, and Canada also. So hopefully my answer was, informative enough. George is asking, I live in Los Angeles. When do you think our greatest ally, Israel, will start helping us with their money and their supplies to fight these fires? Well, I can see your irony, dear friend. It's not going to happen, most likely. I mean, it would be a nice gesture if at least some statements would be made on part of Netanyahu's government. They can send at least one or two planes, if they have, to fight with to fight these wildfires. But I mean, I get your irony. At least, by the way, Mexico is helping, and Canada, I believe, both countries send some planes, helicopters to fight this wildfire. Mexico sent the firefighters also, I believe, and hopefully this deal will end as soon as possible. I'm a bit surprised that these fires still are not completely extinguished. It's tragedy, by the way. I mean, what's happening in LA is it's tragedy, and it is difficult to believe that California, richest state in US, or one of the richest, was so poorly run, basically, so poorly managed that I mean, this fire was not stopped, and entire neighborhoods were burned down completely. I mean, this is crazy. It should never happen, but you know, how, for God's sake, man? I just don't get it. You know, this is not some rural area somewhere in the middle of the forest, right? Where you can barely reach even with the planes and stuff. This is a urban area that we are talking about, and entire neighborhoods are burned down, and emergency services, I guess, were so poorly financed and organized that Michael Kennedy is commenting, Europe needs to ditch NATO and start another alliance between themselves. You know, there are talks about European army for quite a while now. NATO as organization is meaningless at this point because it was created to combat Soviet Union, right? To deter Soviet Union. And at the time, there was huge ideological differences between the countries. And, you know, all sides have enough reasons to be hostile towards each other, mainly because of their ideology differences. But right now, by the way, there is no ideological differences, isn't it? Russia is a free market economy, as West is, and probably Russia is more free market economy than many Western countries, you know, surprisingly, but, you know. So there are no ideological some conflict between Russia and the West at this point. The Western ruling class is struggling to come up with some new ideologies, right? They are experimenting with all these LGBTQ, multi-gender, or gender fluid, some God knows what. And I don't know how far that experiment is, you know, gonna go. But in general, I see no ideological conflict. There is a conflict of interest between powerful financial groups, isn't it? That want to maintain their current position, improve it, and ideally to gain some more power. That's all it is, you know. And it was always about money and power. Even during the Cold War, this ideological differences, I guess, just was power. And so, I mean, I don't know, Europe, if you ask me, dear friends, I just see no reason why North America, I don't see a reason why just everybody cannot get along normally. You know, our planet is big enough, for God's sake, for all of us, right? I mean, why there have to be some geopolitical confrontations and stuff? Why just don't live in peace and in respect? All it takes is be respectful, and you know, when it comes to some business deals, you know, be fair. You know, unfair competition always creates tensions, right? And the Western ruling class is too often is using unfair methods of competition, right? Against Russia, for example, and against many other countries. These have to end, and I don't know, man. I know I'm talking about some utopia now. Probably humanity will not get united for another God knows how many centuries. Eventually we will get there, but it will take some time. But right now, I don't see a reason why European states and Russia, why North America and Russia should not be at least in ships. Why is this hostility, man? I mean, why Western ruling class was pushing since the collapse of Soviet Union? They were pushing Russia year in, year out. Why? But yet again, I mean, greed, by the way. I mean, greed. They want more power, more money, more power. And just imagine if they will establish full control over the Russia, if they would succeed with some regime change and all that stuff that they were dreaming about. Not the richest one, right? There might be some debate there. US itself is a very rich country, isn't it? It's a huge country, massive country, and very rich. And there are many other countries that have some natural riches, right? But I don't know, man. I said many times, I don't see Western countries or people, first of all, people in the West as a hostile or enemies. I just don't, despite all these provocations that we are seeing, from Western ruling class. I have my reactions, obviously, and I myself become quite hostile towards Western elites because I see them as an existential threat to us, to citizens of Russia, and to be frank, for entire humanity. I really think Western ruling elites, Western ruling class is an existential threat for everybody. But still, by the way, I mean, no one gonna convince me that any people anywhere on this planet are my enemies, ordinary people, because they are not. They are not. So I don't know. It is strange times, man. Strange times. But when it comes to European, ditching NATO and coming up with some new alliance, there are talks for quite a while, for several decades at least, isn't it, to create European army. And sometimes this topic is relevant, sometimes not so much. But I guess if a split is going to happen between US and Europe, and seems like this is clearly becoming a possibility because US economically and financially are about to start experiencing some really, really big issues, right? And US just no longer can afford, as far as I understand, to be world's policeman, right? It's just too costly. I mean, foreign debt of US or national debt of US is some 36 trillion or something, isn't it? 35, 36, huge amount. And every year this number increases for another trillion or two. And I guess Western ruling class is realizing that they cannot maintain current system in the West, and they might really split US and Europe, distance them from each other. And in that case, yes, we might see European army. NATO may, did not disappear, but NATO may go on second role, and European army may become a main defense or offensive force of EU. Who knows? Sorry, dear friends, if I miss any question. Ray Glover is commenting that West are threatened by Russia. You have rare earth. US has none. Well, Russia has some rare earth materials, yes, for sure, but Russia is not number one when it comes to rare earth materials. There are other countries that potentially have some more. And when it comes to rare earth materials, 90% of market is in Chinese hands, not in Russian hands, but in Chinese hands, right? So they start working on rare earth materials to become monopoly sort of on this market decades ago, and they achieve significant progress in this regard, right? I don't think Russia is a threat to EU member states or US, by the way. Russia is not, really. I mean, Russia is not a threat, right? And only if Western ruling class treated Russia with respect, fair and respectfully, we would be in a whole different world right now. But it seems like they're just Western ruling elites. I mean, whoever they are, by the way, whoever is pulling the strings, seems like they're just unable to respect anybody, and now entire world is facing consequences of that, because those people still are very powerful, isn't it? They are. Bencher Dent is asking, how do you see Turkey involving in Kurds territory? Is it for the oil reserves that US bases protect? No. Turkey has a long-standing conflict. Turkey is involved in decades and decades of conflict with the Kurdish political and military groups. So first of all, inside the Turkey itself, leader of Kurdish resistance, Öcalan, is jailed in Turkey, right? And by the way, as far as I understand, if that information was correct, Öcalan called Kurdish groups to start negotiations with Turkey or something. More clarification is needed on that. After all, he's in jail for a very long time now. It's a second decade now, isn't it? And I'm not even sure Öcalan's still being seen by Kurdish people as a number one leader. But Turkey has a big issue with the Kurdish resistance movement, because Ankara is afraid that Kurds one day may become so strong that they will just declare independence. And once that will happen inside I'm talking about Turkey now, and I'm quite sure that will happen, by the way. It seems inevitable to me, because Kurdish people, we are talking about millions and millions and millions of people that have no state, right? So it is inevitable that at one point Kurdish people will have their own state. And if you take a look at the map, mainly Kurdish people are living on a territory of several countries, right? It is Turkey, it is Syria, Iraq, and Iran, right? And one day, in 5-10 years time or 20 years time, Kurdistan may be created, or whatever they will call their country, and this country, Kurdistan, will be created on current territory of most likely Turkey and Syria, at least Iraq, most likely, potentially even Iran. And that's this threat is their main reason why Ankara Kurdish political and military groups, because if disintegration of Turkey may become reality if Kurds will declare independence. And one should keep in mind that Turkey is, even though Ankara might have some ambitions or some phantom pains from all the times when there was Ottoman Empire, Erdogan is doing now, by the way, is killing Turkey, in my personal opinion. Turkey is taking on tasks that it cannot pull out, right? And Syria is definitely one of them, and that's what is happening. And I think Turkey directly may not, Turkey directly may not get engaged in a large-scale or full-scale war against Kurdish forces in Syria now. But I guess they will direct Damascus, which is controlled by Turkey now. They can direct Damascus and these terrorist groups, pro-Turkish terrorist groups, to wage offensive, to start offensive against Kurdish forces, and some horrific stuff might happen there. It's about politics, by the way. It's about geopolitics. It's about survivability of Turkey as Ankara sees it first, and only after that, as a secondary or on a third, fourth place, comes these oil and gas fields that are in that northern eastern part of Syria that is currently occupied by, or currently controlled by, US forces and Kurdish militia. It's in Deir ez-Zor area, isn't it? Somewhere there, not far away. But I think even if Ankara directly will not launch a massive military operation, they will support with their aviation, with the drones, with weapons, this Damascus and Damascus forces. But they will definitely try to, minimize the military capabilities of Kurdish forces in Syria, because they are forced to be reckoned with, by the way. At this point, probably they are more powerful than Kurdish formations in Iraq, for example, in Kirkuk area, which is also oil rich, right? And in Iraq, they have autonomy, sort of. I mean, I don't think Damascus has any, I don't think Baghdad has any say when it comes to this Kurdish part of formerly Iraq at this point. Kurds are in charge there, all the way. But currently, Kurdish forces in Syria probably are militarily more capable than. It is always better to, if you want to dig in deeply in that whole topic, it is always better to ask questions to experts in Middle Eastern affairs. But that's what I think. It's not necessarily about oil reserves right now. It's about how Turkey sees its own future and needs for its own survivability. Vovin is commenting, US debt is projected to become 50 trillion by 2030, just with status quo. Wow, 50 trillion, man. I mean, this is crazy, isn't it? I mean, this is crazy. This is unsustainable. I mean, currently, system in US is in such a state that I mean, either it has to be reformed big time, or it will no longer be able to sustain itself, because I mean, one day they have to pay. I mean, one day just the US will pay for interest for so many loans, more than they pay for military, education, healthcare combined. And they are quite close to that point. If I remember correctly, just recently Elon Musk said that US is already paying something about $1 trillion every single year, just as interest. It is insane, isn't it? It is insane. I mean, $1 trillion just for interest. Wow. So dear friends, at this point I don't see question. Venture Dent is asking who is supplying the Houthis with those hypersonic missiles. No, most obvious answer is Iran. But who knows? Who knows? who knows? They might have a certain, Iran was helping Houthis for a long time, isn't it? And at this point, I would not be surprised if we will, learn sometime in the future that for 2024, 2025, Houthi rebels or Ansar Allah movement in Yemen was in a position to actually manufacture missiles on their own, although it is difficult to believe in that right now. I mean, how they gonna hide such operations, right? While US, UK, Israel is constantly trying to hunt down their military capabilities. Probably they have some reserves. Iran probably transferred to them certain number of disassembled missiles, and now Houthis are reassembling those missiles and launching. Some may speculate that, well, Russia may play some role now. We all remember that, some strong statements from a number of Russian high-ranking officials how Moscow may respond on a proxy war that West is waging against us. So, certain groups from Russia, let's say, might, voluntarily help Yemeni Houthis. Theoretically, I mean, that can be in a conversation, but officially will no one say anything like that, isn't it? But theoretically, anything is possible. But main supporter of Houthis, in any case, it's Iran. Used to be Iran, and most likely it is still in Iran. Nidish Kumar is asking Levan, if Greenland is taken by US, will they give First Nation people their fair share? I think they are called Inuits. They will try to keep everybody happy in Greenland. Its population is only like 55,000 people, right? So it's not going to be that difficult for Washington to keep these people happy, right? So it's going to become a very rich nation, most likely very rich. Once US will start exploiting all the natural riches of their island and all the sea routes that go around Greenland, but it will take years, by the way. It's not gonna happen in next year or two, isn't it? So there might be some conflicts also on some tensions, social tensions in social fabric. But in general, generally speaking, I don't think it is going to be hard for Washington to keep a relatively tiny population of Greenland as happy as possible, so that they will just do their business without any additional challenges that most likely they don't want. So will it be fair share? I don't think so, because what is the fair share? Greenland is for Greenlandians, right? Greenland is for locals. It's supposed to be for locals forever, right? Once US will overtake, it's no longer gonna be for locals, for sure. So no, if it comes to fair share, no, Greenlandia is not gonna get a fair share, but Washington will keep them happy. They will give them so much so that people mainly probably just live their lives and if population was 5 to 10 million, let's say, or even higher than that, that's a whole different story. But 50,000, At some point, once US will start working on developing some portal infrastructure, some industrial, once US will start industrializing Greenland, at one point probably foreign workers will be twice more than locals, So that may cause some tensions. But in general, they will try to keep as many people as possible at bay by giving them some good salaries, good profits, and that's gonna be it. Ray Glover is commenting, Yemen makes their own missiles. Well, I mean, maybe Ray, maybe that's exactly the case. Although me personally, I find it really difficult to believe that they have such a logistical capabilities, technological and logistical capabilities to build their own missiles. Or I mean, there's so much know-how is needed, isn't it? And where are you gonna build these missiles? I mean, from where you gonna? I mean, it's if we go down to this path, I mean, we will go through dozens of different industries that are needed to build their single missile, right? And so, I mean, maybe they are capable of building their missiles their own. I doubt that, because US would destroy any underground factory or anything, isn't it? Until now, or Israel would destroy. But I'm quite sure they were receiving quite significant number of missiles in a disassembled way, and they have some places where they can reassemble, and they have specialists that can reassemble this very difficult stuff. A missile, I mean, it's can you reassemble missile? I cannot. I have no idea how those missiles work, man. So you need some experts, right? Some engineers and qualified specialists in the field of rocketry to reassemble such a capable missiles. I mean, hypersonic ones, any missile, really, especially ones that are, long-range weapon systems. So, Hang Mao is asking Levan, is Russia helping the Houthis? Officially, Russia is most likely are engaged in some humanitarian work in Yemen. Quite sure about it. Some humanitarian aid is probably delivered to Yemen from Russia. Russia may be engaged in some, other ways. But when it comes to military cooperation, as far as I understand, officially Russia is not supplying any weapons to Yemen. And what is happening beyond our knowledge is beyond our knowledge, and we just simply don't know. Whatever we will say will be pure speculation. So, but yet again, I mean, who knows? Maybe anything is possible. Let's say it this way. Nidish Kumar is commenting, does UK really want to repair relationships with China genuinely, or are they trying to divert from domestic troubles? UK, I mean, UK, I always consider UK and US as enforcers of the Western ruling class, because that's how US and UK were acting, right, as enforcers. And right now, these enforcers are in deep trouble. Politically, economically, social fabric is stretched in both beyond limit, as far as I understand, and we might see some significant disturbances in both. So therefore, I think both countries in next I mean, both countries gonna play significantly less role on the world stage in years to come, in my personal opinion, because they are no longer capable of being enforcer of the Western ruling class. So therefore, anything at this point that London or Washington does on, especially London, by the way, on an international arena, probably should be and will be considered as an attempt to divert some attention from some other topics, right? Because yet again, I mean, I can see there is a issue with internet once again. Sorry, dear friends, if there will be issues with buffering. So even then, some 20 years ago, by the way, there was some tensions already. I mean, you could feel it, right? And now situation is just beyond anything that UK has ever experienced, I guess. And therefore, and because US political class in general, in principle, are unable to deal with these issues, if you ask me. Therefore, they will use any possibility to divert public's attention. Anything goes, right? But in relations to China, by the way, I mean, UK, China, I mean, who cares, really? I mean, UK is not a player in this chessboard, isn't it? US is, EU together, maybe, Russia, India, Brazil, South Africa, as a representatives of their entire regions and civilizations. But I mean, UK alone, you know, UK alone is, I mean, I don't think China even, I mean, slightly cares what what kind of relationships they will have with UK. I mean, there is no comparison between the two, right? In any way, shape, or form, in anything. So I think whenever London will try to focus attention of public. Question, Levan, does the US government still have those biolabs in Georgia? Why do Georgians let themselves be experimented on like lab parts? Lab rats. Next, smallpox plague, COVID epidemic starting in Tbilisi. Oh, I hope no, dear friend. I hope no. Unfortunately, as far as I know, there is still a lab, US biolab in Georgia, not far away from capital, in vicinity of capital, actually, not far away from Tbilisi's international airport. Well, based on some reports that I see, current ruling party in Georgia, Georgian Dream, did try to downgrade activity of this lab, but it's not completely halted, as far as I know, dear friends. It's still there, and I guess it will be there as long as the Georgian political class continues to play these games around the Western ruling elites. Once they will stop playing these games, lab out, and it should never be allowed to be built in Georgia in the first place, but that happened during their works on that. Conversations might start during the Shevardnadze. Imagine what kind of garbage individual that Saakashvili is. He was capable of anything, and that's why that lab is still there. And once US will get to any territory, it is immensely difficult to force it out. I mean, ask Germans, by the way. They will tell you. or any country that US has any installations, military or otherwise. Venture Dent is commenting, UK pension fund invested in Chinese economy. Wow, that's quite interesting. I don't know so much about UK-China economical deals, but that's quite a tool that China has then to influence London, isn't it? If pension fund, invested this money of their millions of British people into Chinese economy, that's a weakness of London, as far as I understand. So, Hunger Mao is commenting, Levan, is Russia and China is taking the leader in the BRICS? Yes and no. Yes and no. Both countries are unique in their own terms. Russia is nuclear superpower, biggest country in this world with a huge, enormous potential. And China is biggest economy. By PPP measures, by the way, China already overtake US, as if I remember correctly. And many experts are saying that PPP index, purchasing power parity index, is actually a much more fair one than GDP index, right? But in any case, China is our main producer of also, in any case, major economy, right? And so obviously influence of China and Russia may be higher in certain areas than other member states, but same time, by the way, I mean, India is a BRICS member state, and India is give it another 20, 30 years and India will be at least second economy in this world. At least second economy, and potentially India may overtake China too, right? So I would not say that BRICS is a China-Russia endeavor. No way. No. It's a club. It's a club. It's a foundational stone. That's how I see for emerging multipolar world, which is hopefully going to be much more fair to everybody, not just for one or two or three countries or groups of countries, but for everybody, and therefore for humanity. I think that's how it's going to be. And by the way, India would never agree to be on some third, fourth role. I mean, India is a entire civilization on its own, right? With their, unbelievable history, unbelievable culture, traditions, and India would not be in BRICS if China was dominating there, or Russia, or any other country, right? So if India is there, that means that no one country is dominating. Although, obviously, some countries in some areas, including India, by the way, will have stronger positions than others, right? But that's how it goes. It's always like that. One country is good in one thing, another is in another, and it's all good. But I would not say that BRICS is dominated by any country. China is, yes, China is a major economy in this world, and they're immensely influential, obviously. And they're maybe seen by some other countries as a leading force in BRICS. But, Russia, India, Brazil, South Africa also play a crucial role, and other members of the BRICS also, by the way. Just recently Indonesia joined BRICS, and Indonesia is a 300 million country. Population of Indonesia is over 270 million, right? It's on a fourth place, if I remember correctly, after India, China, US, and that's it. And then there is Indonesia, right? It's the biggest country in terms of population in the Muslim world, by the way, which is also very important, right? Because BRICS clearly demonstrates it's that it is not just about, it's not just on the words about multipolarity, but it's a multicultural, multi-ethnic organization that is capable to cooperate, you know, despite certain differences that they might be, you know, between countries and so on. Iran is a member of BRICS, right? And Iran also, I mean, civilization on its own, right? And every other country, by the way. So no, my answer is no. I don't think China and Russia are, you know, dominating in BRICS. No. If that was the case, India would not be there. And other countries would not join. But because it's a fair play in BRICS, there are countries, dozens of countries queuing in to join because they know they will be heard, right? Dear friends, it's already 1.5 hours, you know, our stream is going. So I have to end this stream. We had a good conversation, isn't it, dear friends, about so many topics, and I'm truly grateful for your attention and for all these comments. Hang Mu is commenting, Levan, how much dollars you need to buy a new microphone in Russia? Well, help in PayPal end of month. Do I have some sound issues, by the way? It's not a good microphone. Why are you asking that? I mean, sometimes some members of our community are saying that sound is too low, but same time, other members of you will start hear some background noise also, and that's why I'm trying to, you know, somehow balance so that there will be not too much background noise, because some people are listening with their headphones, right? And it is extremely, you know, annoying. It can be extremely annoying when there is some background noise or too much of it, right? So I don't know how much good microphone you know, costs. I have a, like, you know, ordinary microphone. It does works, isn't it? I don't know about good ones, man. I don't even know what good one means. I mean, I never checked. But, you know, hopefully this microphone is okay, though. Venture Dent is commenting, Levan, as on today, India's GDP is just a very little behind Japan, and soon, by June, it will surpass that. Well, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about, by the way. Give it 20, 30 years, and India is going to be second economy in this world, 100%. And at one point, I believe India has every opportunity to become a first economy in this world, right? So that's why I'm saying, by the way, I mean, India is superpower, right? And there's no way India can be part of any organization or anything where India's voice is not heard. It's just impossible, right? And as I said, dear friends, best example or best demonstration or indicator that BRICS is based on much more fair principles than, let's say, other organizations that we see, for example, in the West. I mean, good indicator of that is that there is India there and Russia there, right? Countries that yet again are civilizations, I mean, huge civilizations, right? And they would not agree ever to be part of any group that some other country is dominating. It's impossible. And same can be said about all the other BRICS member states. And because there is much more fairness in the BRICS, I mean, dozens of countries are queuing in, by the way, to join. You know, Bench Dent is commenting. John Dickinson is saying that sound in Wisconsin is always good. Thank you. Thank you, John. Sometimes it is confusing, dear friends, when I read comment, and as you know, I'm reading comments, right? I'm engaged. I'm one of the most active members of our community, and when I see a comment that there is some sound issues, I pay attention to it, and when I see same time comments that there is normal sound, there is no some crucial issues with sound, then I don't know what to do. One day I might buy some microphone that is better, and there will be lesser background noise, more clear voice and stuff like that. But right now, at this stage of development of this project, I guess this sound is doing its job, isn't it? I mean, I don't know. So Bench Dirt is commenting, thank you, Levan and the community for this wonderful stream. My prayers for world peace and tranquility and wellness. Take care and stay safe. Thank you very much, Bench, for your activity, for your attention and support, for your questions. Always nice to see you and all the other members of our community during this stream. It is our stream, isn't it? It's community chat. So I'm happy that thanks to you, dear friends, I resume these community chats despite some technical issues that we are experiencing, time to time. Nidish Kumar is commenting, Levan, imagine freight corridor and the railways connecting entire Eurasia. That is going to happen, Nidish. That is definitely going to happen, 100%. Dear friends, if I may, I will end this stream now. It's more than almost 1 hour and 40 minutes. Thank you very much for your attention. We really had a good conversation, isn't it? I mean, so much so that I didn't really had time to go through some news that I prepared, for example. Which is nice. I mean, that means that we really had a good chat. So thank you very much, dear friends. Have a wonderful day and take care. See you tomorrow.